Hallelujah. Thanking the creator of heaven and earth once again for the life of Nasik Zarishad Ben Yehuda. Please be seated because although it looks overcast outside, it's still, I hear y'all sighing. It's early. So thanking the Most High, King of the universe once again for the life of Nasik Zarishad. Thanking the Most High God for this holy day and this holy season. I pray that the Most High God will give us all strength during this time and that he continues to provide for us, the understanding and the wisdom that we need in order to continue. The world and what we see in the world is so much. This season right here, I always take it as a season to get rid of all the filth. The things that have attached to us, that have attached themselves to us, and we have attached ourselves to. This season right here, to me, is always a time where we could kind of concentrate on what we're supposed to concentrate on. And like I said earlier this morning, every year we're supposed to get better, not continuing the same things and continue to commit the same iniquities and to go down that same road of destruction, because eventually mercy runs out on an individual. It doesn't stay on a person forever. Yah is merciful forever, but not on one individual, right? And we want to live our lives to the best of our ability, to the best of our capabilities, be the best person that we can be, and not following the footsteps of those that's going to cause us to do that which is wrong. We want to always stay in the right path. Sometimes it feels like it's difficult. Sometimes it feels like I could sin this one time and God will be all right with me because I don't sin that much anyway. The minute you start thinking like that, that's the beginning of the end. I could sin this one time because, I got a lot of money in the bank. That'd be the one time that God take you out because you know better. So those are things that we always have to keep in mind. As it said, the race is not to the strong nor to the mighty, but to them that endure. You always have to keep enduring, because you might see people fall out along the wayside, but you got to stay strong. We have to stay strong. That's how it is. I've seen people come and go. I've seen people, and Nasik could tell you, he could tell you, people that look like they were going to be here forever, strong in this way of life, families in here, and something happens in life to where the Most High God impacts them a certain way. They can't take certain things, and one event happens and it turns them away, and God turns them away, and they're no longer here. So count yourself as the blessed ones. Count yourselves as the lucky ones that the Most High God had bestowed this blessing upon. And I've seen people who I thought weren't going to last too long. I was like, and I'm sure Nasik is seeing this. It's like, that guy's still hanging in. That lady's still hanging on. So the mind, sometimes our perception is not how God thinks. People come and they stick around and they stay and they are in the marathon. They're in the race for the longevity of it, not for the short. You got people that come in. That's why I always tell people, take your time. You're not going to get it all in one day. I tell my daughter, I was just talking to my daughter this past week. I said, baby, you got to pace yourself. Because I see her, she be with that tambourine, and then she got to run back, get some water, come back. I said, you got to pace yourself. I said, every part of the song is not a, you got to jump up and go crazy. I said, you got to pace yourself. But she's a child. She eventually, you get it, right? Hopefully. But that's how it is in life, in this way of life. You're not going to get it all when you first come in. You're looking for all the blessings of life when you first come in, and you got a 25-year track of sin. But you're looking for like the instant gratitude, like I'm looking for that dopamine to kick in for me to be great, and I'm not seeing it yet. No, it comes gradually. Time, pace, it happens, but you have to take your time. Everything comes in a season. First, you have to When the baby's on, you want the baby to turn over first, right? How it goes. First you need them to turn over, and then you need them, then they start, then they get on all fours, then they take a couple of crawling steps, then they running. Next thing you know, they standing up, holding on to something. They trying it out. Then they can stand up without holding on to something. And then they take a step. They take two. And then they're walking. Then after they get about two, they running all over the place, tearing up your furniture, wiping their hands all over. Then they taking off then. Then they start exploring. They start playing hide and go seek. They start doing all those things, right? Because life has to take its course. So it is in this way of life. I don't care how old you are. You just come into this. Don't expect to get it all in one day. Don't go to we was just talking in the back. You come in, you got this zeal, you go into your mother's house, you throw out all her food, and you talk about, we can't eat this stuff. You can't do that. You're just talking about a guy who did that. Came into, he heard the word, he got so inspired, he went home, he threw all his mother's food out, and the mother wanted to speak to somebody from the congregation. She said, what kind of God is he serving that's telling him to do all this stuff? So one of the Chief Kohath had to go talk to her and tell her, nah, we didn't tell him to do that. But you trying to get it all in one day. You heard it, you got inspired. Yeah, we always tell sisters, go through your wardrobe slowly. You don't got to throw everything out one time, but you go little by little. Tell the brothers the same thing. You find out we could only wear 100% cotton. It's okay, go gradually. God tell us to above all I get and get what? Get understanding. So, you're not going to leave your closet empty. We're not millionaires. We not, some of us ain't even thousandaires. We can't track a couple of $1,000s in our bank account. We live in check to check. So we're not telling you to do something that cannot, that's out of this world. You have to actually follow the pattern. I always tell young individuals, I tell them this, slow down, hold on a little. Life is not like that. You have to take your time. And when you take your time, things will develop. And along the way, guess what? You're going to get a cut toe. You're going to get a bruised knee. You're going to get your elbows going to hurt a little. But guess what? You're going to get there. Just keep serving the Most High God, and He will provide for you. That's life. In a nutshell, we cannot try to rush certain steps in life because it doesn't work that way. Our Creator is great. And this season that's coming up also, like I was saying earlier, we have to prepare, especially us, we have to prepare to get the booth up. We have to, if you're living in your homes, be prepared to get a booth up. Get into the season. Get into the understanding of the season so that you get the feeling. What I've learned throughout the years is if you get into the feeling of the season, it's even that much better. Don't just look at it like a drag. It's time to, I got to do this again. I'm just looking for the feast day. I'm just looking to eat. I'm just looking for that part of it. I'm just looking to celebrate and eat and just, that's all you think. No, get into the fullness of the season. Get into Yom Teruah, the calling, the blowing of the horn. That is a signal for us to let us know Yom Kippur is at hand. Get them things together so that you could come and present Him before the Creator, right? Get those things that you've done. You a child, when you've been fresh with your parents, those are things that you have to account for. When you talking back, when you know they don't want you to do something and you still do it, those are things that you are accountable for before the Creator. And when the Creator tells you something, right, honor your father and your mother, and you know that you've gone outside of that honor. I'm not talking about you went out there and did just egregious things, but the little things. Because anytime a child goes back and forth with a parent, it's a nastiness before God. There's a way to communicate with your parents even as an adult, right? Because at the end of the day, they're still your parent. So there's a way to communicate. And there's a way to communicate respectfully from parent to child. But you have to also realize that the parent is who gave you life, right? So even if your parent gets out of hand, there's a thing called, I'm going to see you the next day, I'll come back or I'll talk to you. Because the going back and forth is not going to work. Not before God. So those are the things that we have to keep in mind. Those are the sins that we call to before the Creator. Things like that. When you little, when you young teenagers and they told you not to touch this and you touched it. Those are things that you have to go before God with. When they told you you couldn't go outside and you still snuck outside that summer day because they was at work. Those are things that it might sound simple, but those are things that create bad habits. Not listening. That create bad habits. You were on punishment, but you could time pretty well the time that they leave and the time they come back. Don't have no one in my house and your friends still come over to play video games. So you taking what they're telling you, their word, for granted, and you're not respecting what they're telling you. So those are things that you have to come and recall before the Creator and bring them up and confess, right? Us, adults, the things that we say to each other as husband and wife, how we argue, the things that we're not conscious of that we're saying to hurt one another. 4-letter words, things that we know better, but in a time of emotion, we say them and we offend. Those are things that we have to come, like Prince came up, he said, if I've offended anyone, we have to learn how to say I'm sorry to each other, how I offended you, and I know that offended you. We have to learn how to do that. Because that is actually what we're supposed to do. Yes, so many things that we have to do in order to be not only right before the Creator, but be right before one another. We have to keep each other's our feelings, each other's feelings in our minds, because we do offend. We consider, we have to be considered because we do offend each other. We offend. By the things we say, by our actions, the things that we do, we offend. Right? You holding something in your heart towards someone that's never done anything to you. Why are you holding this thing in your heart? Have you ever worked it out with the person? Have you ever spoken to the person? Have you ever told the person, hey, this is how I feel about this, and this is how this is making me feel when you do this? Those are things that you actually have to do, because you could be walking around a person don't even know you have all these feelings about them, and they think everything is okay, but you are carrying this baggage. Somebody is living rent-free in your mind, in your head, rent-free. No problem. Ain't paying gas, light, nothing. They just rent-free in your head. And you hating and despising this person, and this person don't even know that they hated and despised. But you continue to perpetrate this kind of fraud of like you love them or you okay with them, but you're not really getting that thing that you have with them out. Those are things that we have to overcome and we have to confront, because if we're sitting here with each other and we around a bunch of fake people that can't talk to each other, then what's the use of this? Now, we all have our own personalities. We all have our own way of being. We have to learn to live with that too. I have to learn to live with how you are, as long as it's not offensive before God. Right. I have to learn how to live with that. But I can't, I can't walk around and have a feeling towards you if you haven't done anything per se to me that has said, I just don't like him, I just don't like her. Where does that come from? Where does that come from? Those are feelings that we harbor, things that we let fester and grow within us, and then we don't know how to let them go. That's not how it's supposed to be. the Most High God tells, he said, treat the stranger as the homeborn. That means that there is some level of understanding that we're supposed to have. There's some level of understanding. We not all going to be best friends, but just to hold grudges towards someone that has really done nothing to you. God commands us not to hold grudges, but then someone hasn't done anything to you and you're holding a grudge. Now think about how that sounds. I just don't like her. I just don't like him. Those are things that we have to overcome. Those are things that you have to fight against. When you see that you have that in your heart, those are the times that you pull up and you talk to a person and you allow a person, you know what I mean? You get to know a person so that way it won't go any further. So with that, I'm going to call on my brother Maury Arania to close out the day, and I pray that the Most High God will bless us all. Shalom.
Hallelujah.